Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of your favorite Keyforge podcast, Cutthroat Research. I shouldn't say that, there's too many of them by now, but I am Ryan, and I'm here with my usual co-host, Tyler. How you doing today, Tyler?
What's up, everybody?
And this week we have some very, I think it's a solid quantity of of news and new announcements and stuff going on with our Keyforge experience. Some notable things. Obviously, we had our Prime Championship last Saturday. Not our local store, but we attended one that was out of town. We had two cards again. Me and Tyler and a handful of friends all traveled up to Tampa to go do critical hit games. And um, this episode is probably just going to be a big summary of that day and how it went, and maybe a little bit of open discussion stuff afterwards. But I think both of us are kind of hyped about the Prime and really want to get into that and talk about that in more detail.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So,
So,
go ahead.
so yeah, like Ryan's saying, we went to Critical Hit Games Prime in right outside of Tampa in the St. Petersburg area, and it was a sealed Prime. It was two decks, and you pick one. It was best of one gameplay. How
Yep.
did you like the two decks you got?
Both of my decks, like I am not, I'm gonna say full disclosure, I'm not a fan of sealed. I don't play sealed very often. The only reason I'm even playing sealed in Keyforge is because of A, this past Prime Championship, and B, the leaderboards. Like those two things are the only excuses for me playing sealed that have come up in my Keyforge history. So between the two decks that I had, I just the entire time I was like, man, I wish I could play my Velocibat. I wish I could play my 80 today. But yeah, my two decks were okay. Like they didn't seem like there was anything super special about them. But one did seem inherently better than the other. And after the tournament was over, the two SAS ratings of my decks were only, I think, like 2 or 3 points apart. So they were actually really similar, but just one to me looked significantly stronger. So that was the one I went with. It didn't really take me long to make that decision, but I did ask some people around me, some of my friends. What about you?
Well, after the fact, I did check mine, and they were uh, incredibly similar. Both of my decks were the exact same houses. It turns out they were both the same SAS rating, the same expected amber, the same raw amber, which I knew when I opened them. Like they just had a lot of things in common.
Right, different cards to achieve the same goals.
Yeah, but I ended up going with the deck that I thought would make my opponents uh, play the most uncomfortably. So I guess I'm beating around the bush. I pulled a deck that had Quixelstone and Soul Stealer or Soul Snatcher. I'm sorry,
Ooh,
and
okay.
both of those cards are cards that kind of make your opponent stop and like really
Figure
think
out
about.
how they want to play the rest of the entire game, yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Soul Snatcher is a dis artifact. Where each time a creature is destroyed, the owner of that creature gains one amber. And Quixelstone is a Star Alliance artifact. If a player has more creatures in play than their opponent, they cannot play creatures.
Right, so those two cards in themselves are very strong together, and even individually, like Quixelstone. I know my girlfriend pulled a deck with Quixelstone in it, and she really likes that card too. It seems extremely strong for a game that doesn't have like Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's you can only play cards in the monster zones that allocate for it. Like no, there's no limit, so a card like Quixelstone can actually turn out to be really, really strong compared to other card games. I like that card a lot. But keep going. I
Yes.
kind of interrupted you. You can keep
Oh
going,
no,
I think.
you're fine. Um, the creature count was fairly middling. It had 16 creatures
Gotcha.
because that was another thing. I thought it had a lot for Quixelstone, but I guess it's not that much. 16 is not. It's I think a little below average even.
Yeah, it's below average, but not the lowest it can be. But for the creatures
But
themselves, at least useful.
yes, so I found a combo pretty quick. It has a lot of archiving.
Okay.
The deck in general, it's pretty quick. It's a lot of like it has double sanitation engineer to discard cards off house, double Babylon bibliophile to draw more cards. It has a Tau Vapors, a Code Monkey. Code Monkey ended up being great with Quixelstone because you
Oh
would neg
yeah,
2 the amount of creatures on your board.
manipulate them
Uh,
into not being able to play anything else for their turn.
yeah. And
Nice.
then in Star Alliance, I also had a transporter platform, and I had 2 frames, which is the play fight reap capture one onto
Mm-hmm.
any creature.
Yep, the four
And I
power
had
Star
a
Alliance.
and in Logos I had a I don't want to say the wrong one because I always get these two confused. So let me actually look at it.
What does it do?
The automata that comes back, the reassembling automata,
Mm-hmm.
not the self-repairing one. So the
Right.
one that just doesn't die, it doesn't heal itself. But it was really good because I would capture onto that, and then it would just be really hard to get rid of.
Gotcha. It had
And
the
then I would like,
pseudo
I would,
Imperial Scudam effect.
yeah, and I would bounce like Frayne and like just continually do that.
Right, just replay it for
So
Amber and they
I
can't play
learned,
creatures and you just capture forever.
yeah, I learned the strategy was to like just have those two creatures out basically and just
Mm-hmm.
capture and reap and just
Nice.
incremental gains until I was ahead. Really, the only reason I think I did well with this deck is in sealed you don't get to look at deck lists, so the opponent would get caught off guard, and then there's this weird emotional connection to good cards in your deck where
Yep.
people just don't discard their creatures even though they should. So there would be like a few games I remember my opponent just like, oh, reap for one and pass, and then I would take my little turn and it would go back to them and they can't play a creature. They would do like one action and pass. Then I'd take a turn and then they'd finally call like their main house and discard 3 creatures. When it's like,
Right.
oh, you probably should have done that like 2 turns ago.
Yeah, you'd be in a way better spot if you just did that on the get go.
Yeah.
If you know you can't get rid of the Quicksil Stone, my opponent's not going to get rid of it for me. You should probably just play around it now.
Yeah, exactly. But
Yeah.
it was a really fun time. I remember your deck feeling like one of the stronger ones of our group when we
Yeah.
were looking at it.
Yeah,
Um,
my deck had a lot of solid duplicates. Like the duplicates were good because they were duplicates, and then like the single one of cards were just good cards in general. Like looking at my deck list right now, I think Soul Fiddle is the only thing in the deck that I genuinely felt bad drawing. I didn't like Bloodshard Imp, nobody likes Misery Exploit. Like there's a handful of like meh cards, but for the most part, everything was like acceptable or great. Like everything was on par or better than what I expected out of a seal deck. My deck had 2 Information Exchange, 2 Legatus Raptors, 2 Eteromes, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and 3 Daughters, which was probably one of the MVPs of the day. Just all those extra card draws throughout the day and throughout the games definitely feels like it shifted my win rate. Um, there's a Tau Vapors in there. I really liked Mimic Gel too. Let you enter play as a copy of another creature, and then you obviously get the play effect if you copied a play effect creature. So I did that a lot with things like Tricerian Legionary and my opponent's cards. Um, so that was really fun. I had a lot of fun with the deck. Overall, it had Dis, Saurian, and Logos. I'm sure you already knew that from the cards I was listing off. Um, but yeah, I mean it's a 70 SAS. Uh, nothing like there isn't the broken like oh my god I got Golden Spiral and since Cincinnatus Rex and like my seal deck like it wasn't anything like extravagant like that, but again has a tribute, has a Draco Praco, has an Orator Hisaro, had EE on the fringes which was kind of an MVP. um what were your 3 houses, Tyler?
I had Dis logo Starlines, and we didn't notice when we opened our decks that like everyone in our group, pulled Dis, and
Yep.
no one at the tournament noticed that everyone at the tournament pulled Dis.
It wasn't until me and Tyler got up at the end of our first round and I walk over to
And
Tyler and he's like, "Wait, what houses are in your deck?" And like we started connecting those dots and had the epiphany that we actually got 3 Worlds Collide boxes and all 3 of them were every single deck had Dis in it. So we were playing a Prime Championship where every deck had Dis. So it's really interesting because I feel like certain cards significantly shifted like their viability just from that one tournament because of that factor.
I
Uh,
think it's really good that nobody noticed until after round one,
yes. Yep.
because the people who, well, I'll just put it out there. In top 8, there was a deck with triple EE on the fringes,
Yep.
uh, obviously. and I believe 3 of the decks had Snag's Mirror.
Yep. One deck has
I did not
Snag's
have
Mirror and
either of
multiple
them.
Snags. I had one EE on the fringes, and I will admit that I picked the deck because of EE on the fringes, but not because of every house having dis or every player having dis. I wanted
Because
to
to
get
get
rid
rid
of
of
my
you,
Soul Fiddle.
yeah,
And I did
you're like,
that game one, turn two, right
I
away, and
remember
it was
I remember
worth.
having I remember having the conversation with you where you're like, man, I really like this deck except for Soul Fiddle, and I was like, well, that's easy. You have E on the fringes.
You can
You
just
just use
purge
that
it.
Soul Fiddle to steal one,
Yeah, Soul
and
Fiddle
you're like,
just
all
turns
right.
into Steel One Amber. I guess this is the deck I'm playing now, and yeah, that epiphany definitely locked it in, for sure. Um,
So our group did pretty well at the primes.
yep. We
You
had 24 people, not our group, but the total tournament was 24 players.
Yes, and 5 of us made top 8,
Yep,
and
five
you are
locals.
now 100% top 4 rate for prime championships.
Yes, I top foured again. I barely missed the top two,
And you
unfortunately.
played one of our team, like one of our play group in top 4 again.
Yep, he definitely had the
Um,
best deck in the room,
yes, I agree. The person who ended up winning the prime was from our group.
but it was not
Spoilers,
us.
it wasn't either of us. But his deck had 22 printed amber.
And mine had seven.
So
just
his
just
deck
to
was
make
very
sure, yeah,
fast.
so everybody's aware exactly what the tier distance or differential was like. Yeah, it was bad. Every card he
The
played had amber.
I played him I played him twice.
Me
I
too.
played him once in Swiss. He was one of my losses in Swiss, and then I played him in the finals, and I lost in the finals to him as well.
Yep.
And his one thing that his deck did that was really good, he had a lot of artifacts, so that would just naturally thin out his deck.
Hmm.
And he had a lot of upgrades, and every one of his upgrades had an amber pip on it, and he would play a Star Alliance card, play like 4 upgrades on it, and
And
then
bounce it all.
transport it back to his hand
Yep.
and play it all again. So he would be gaining
Yeah, he'd get like
like,
6 or 8 amber off of one turn with like 3 cards.
yeah,
Like it
it
was
was pretty wild.
insanity. And ironically enough, his deck was rated the same as my deck, even though there's no way. Like, I don't care what SAS says, this deck and that deck are not the same.
Well, I ended up both of our games were close. In Swiss, I had my thing going and he had his thing going. He was gaining 4 amber a turn,
Hmm.
and I was gaining 3 and capturing 2 a
Oh,
turn,
okay.
and he ended up outpacing me by like 1 amber.
Yep. See,
And
like
then in
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I played him in Swiss, and he literally destroyed me because he played turn one snag, and I didn't have a creature that wouldn't die to the snag. And it was either like I play creatures and then my house gets forced, or I don't play creatures and I skip my first turn, which doesn't look good. And I just got destroyed in Swiss.
Yeah, and in the finals, our game was also really close. We were both at final key, and what got it for him was the he had Snag's Mirror,
Hmm.
and I could not call dis because of it, and my hand was 6 discards.
Yep, I saw it. That was really frustrating,
So,
but understandable.
but I mean that's the game, and I'm
Yep.
stoked for our buddy.
Oh yeah,
He's
absolutely.
going to Worlds.
I when I played him in top four, I feel like I could have played things differently, and that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not trying to say I should have won or could have won, but I know that looking back on it, there's no way. Dash, my cat's yelling. You need to shut up, Dash. But
He
looking
feels
back
strongly
at
about
it, like he like if I played cards in a different order, I would have been able to survive the turn that I lost at. But
it.
there's
Yeah,
no way that I could have known 3 turns ago that I needed to play this creature before that creature. And playing one creature before the other was like the reason that I lost. Because if I played my EE on the fringes on the other side of my Eterome, my Buzzle would have purged the Eterome, and then the EE on the fringes would have let me discard 3 and steal 3 and go into check. I would have been in check for my third key, and I would have taken him off his third key. I don't know what his following turn would have been, but I know that those 2 cards or playing one card before the other is the entire reason why I lost that turn and not any turns later. And
yeah,
it really
and
sucks, and I'm still thinking about it, but like there's no way I could have known that, and I it's weird because it's like a mix of disappointment and like my brain always goes like a mile a minute. I always like overthink things and multitask in my head and stuff, but like that one quote unquote misplay, I don't even want to really call it that, but like that one mistake that I wasn't even aware I was making, like reignited this like sense of determination because now I'm like extremely aware of like before I even play a creature, I'm like, do I want this here? Is there a reason it needs to be next to this creature, or is there like should I be putting it next to this creature? What else is in my deck that can influence like I don't know, like doing that wrong makes me want to make sure I minimize the possibility of doing it again. And like I feel like in the long run that one thing is going to make me a much better player. So I'm trying to keep it on the bright side, but it still sucks.
Absolutely.
It sucks.
No, I
It's
mean,
so
I
rough.
think that's a good point for like Keyforge in general. Like I actually at locals was playing a deck with Code Monkey,
Hmm.
so I got kind of used to like thinking about the placement of my creatures just because it's like, oh, if I could draw Code Monkey, which two do I want to archive?
Yep. And I don't
You
think
know
that
what I mean?
I don't think any of my none of the decks that I've enjoyed playing that were also like competitively high rated have really had any significant cards that value exactly where things are on the board, other than like deploy, which is just like Orator Hisaro, which I'm going to use on the same two Saurian creatures anyway. Like I'm kind of aware of it in that regard, but like deploy versus just actual sequencing for future turns is kind of different. Um, Half the time I deploy the cards I just played, so you know what I mean. It's different for sure.
But
But
yeah,
overall,
now
yeah,
whenever you play Buzzle, you're gonna be. It's like, man, I got to make sure that I have a line of creatures that Buzzle
yeah.
could just eat.
What's the last thing that can leave the field? Buzzle's gonna go on the other end of that. Absolutely. But
But it was a really good time.
yeah.
Uh, a lot of players that we saw at the last Prime were there. The Orlando and Central Florida crew.
Oh yeah.
It's
Shout outs
always a
to
good time seeing
Marcus.
them.
Shout outs to Cody.
Yep, we saw some familiar faces, and we had to climb those mountains again.
Oh yeah, I played Cody round one. All right, the guy
Yeah,
at the last prime, I played the same opponent in round five. I beat
and in the
him,
first round
and
of
then I
top eight.
immediately played him in top eight and beat him again, and then I played him at first round of prime this last weekend, and like
And he's gonna unsubscribe from our YouTube channel
dude,
because of it.
I won that game because of like a tribute again, and he's like, man, you got that card in sealed too, and I was like, I'm sorry, Cody, I didn't mean it. Like it's
Oh, and then he
he
had
must
to
have a
play,
vendetta against tribute because of me.
and then he played me in round two,
Oh my god.
and he had a Fangtooth Cavern, which with Soul Snatcher and Quicksoul Stone ended up making my deck better.
Yeah, because he's destroying like his
And
own thing or your thing, and then he can't play things. It
yeah,
just didn't
because I
matter.
had much weaker creatures than him overall.
Hmm.
There was a turn where he snagged me, and I passed, and he was like, "Did I lock you out?" And I was like, "Or I'm just not playing creatures."
Because I
And
want
then he's
that to
like, "Well,
die.
now I can't take a turn because he like needed to fight to do things, and he needed to like me to have a creature on board because he had just snag,
Hmm.
so he couldn't play anything. And then at the end of the turn, his snag died, and then it was just a weird game. It was a
Yeah,
very
that sounds wonky and
very
long.
strange game, but it
Gotcha.
was a good time. It was always a good time. And then I had another very interesting game in my top four against Marcus. He knew through so one advantage of my tournament day is all of my games were less than 10 minutes. So I was usually the first round done. I don't know if it's just the deck attributing to that, but I also do play very quickly.
Yeah, you
Like me personally, like I play with a sense of purpose.
do. Hmm.
And so a lot of people didn't really get to scout my deck, but a lot of people heard about Quixelstone. But what didn't get spread around was the Soul Snatcher.
Right. Well,
So when I played Marcus,
Quixel Stone has like a much more distinctive effect, like a more memorable uniqueness to it than Soul Snatcher. So it makes sense that that was the card that got spread faster.
yeah. So when I played Marcus, I believe turn two, he put a Scowly Caper on my board to deal with one of my creatures,
Hmm.
and then I dropped a Soul Snatcher, and like a disc creature, like an edamame or something,
Hmm.
and I gained an amber, and then he played some stuff, and then I dropped Quixel Stone and like 4 Star Alliance creatures or something like that, and then slowly I would just keep ending up with just Scowly Caper on the board, and he wouldn't be able to play any creatures, and I'd get to play like up to 3,
And
and
then
then
one
like
would get
kill
destroyed
one
and
with
they'd like
Scowly.
slowly die off and reset.
Yeah, so for like 4 or 5 turns, I was just gaining like 3 amber a turn,
Hmm.
and he had like 1 card turns, and it was
Wow.
just it was just I don't want to call it a misplay because it's one of those situations he couldn't have known because it was sealed. But Scowly Caper really benefited me a lot more than it hurt me,
Right.
and I
I
know I saw the frustration in his eyes because it's like, man, I couldn't have known, but here we are.
Yeah, like literally not playing that caper might have won him the game, but in the
I
moment
mean,
he knew
it was
that.
so early; it's hard to tell. I just know that I gained a lot of amber off that, and he slowed down quite a bit. He lost a lot of momentum because of it.
Gotcha. Him
But
playing
it did
that
end
like
up being,
shifted the game away from his favor.
yeah, it did end up being a fairly close game. He had a pretty big swing at the end, and I just kind of, I don't want to say run away with it, but I like got a little out of reach for him to take me off my third key. But I had a phenomenal time, dude. I had every game I played was fun. Every opponent was really nice, um, and it was a good time.
Yep. I agree.
Um,
I did have a lot of fun even though I'm still missing my metal keys. That'll be next tournament. But I'm doing good.
I
I got
don't think I don't think that the inclusion of it all being dis really hindered the tournament like at all.
Yeah,
Like it,
it's skewed it by such a small percent that it's like negligible. It's not worth talking about other than the fact that we can be like, haha, we played an all disc prime. Like that's the extent of it really.
yeah, and I don't think it does and it doesn't. Like it does affect the randomness, I suppose, in a certain aspect, but at the same time, nobody noticed until after everyone chose their decks,
Yeah,
and
if
that's
we
the good
noticed
thing.
it before round one started,
It would have been
that
a different tournament.
yeah, it would have been like the entire outcome of the day would have been a whole different like variant of people, which isn't even necessarily a bad thing either. It's just it would have been different. It's just a fact. It's not like we're talking about the negative effects of it being that way, but I liked it.
It's just
So
it's rough because I was one of those people who was kind of like, oh, someone got a whole disc display. That's like, that's not likely, but I don't think it's broken. And
mhm.
then here we go, it happens again, and we're like, maybe it's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I remember that too when people posted like we opened 70 something decks and every single one had this and we were like, yeah, I mean statistically that's still possible. Like it's unlikely, but like it does happen. But like the fact that it happened again and it with the same house is like, oh yeah, there's definitely been some mishap in the algorithm that's causing this because like that's
I don't
just
I don't think it's the algorithm per se. It's the distribution.
yeah, that's fair.
So it's just not getting. It's like in Magic sometimes like booster boxes and displays end up like semi-mappable. It's like the same type of snafu that happens.
Yeah, that's
It's
fair.
just like the distribution of those decks just kind of got some zeros and ones mixed up.
They didn't shuffle everything on the table well enough. They just kind of dumped all
Yeah.
of them into the closest box and all the dis ones are on one side of the table.
Watch everyone's talking about this, and it just turns out it's part of like a big thing that Fantasy Flight's going to reveal.
Right, it's like a giant lore. It's a big lore reveal, and they're just like waiting for
Well,
us all to
because we
stop
have
freaking
those
out.
disc tokens for the leaderboard kits,
Yeah.
so maybe there's a reason they're doing it with discs. Like they're trying to maybe that thing we joked about like 5 or 6 episodes ago, where we talked about disc being too strong now because Sanctum's gone,
Oh yeah.
and then Sanctum's going to come back.
And
And
then there
hey,
will be no more disc cases.
not for nothing, but the rumored houses are the same as this set minus Brobnar plus Sanctum. And if that ends up being true, that's kind of exactly what I said.
Yeah, that is exactly like I think we were talking about either Brobnar or Shadows going away because Shadows was broken, but I feel like Fantasy Flight has fixed Shadows as a house. like with set
Yeah.
three. So I feel like as long as they keep the same mentality going into future sets, Shadows isn't the problem that it was in Coda, but Brobnar is like doing really poor. But I'm so pumped to see Saurian and Sanctum in the same
I don't
set.
I don't even think Brobnar is doing poor per se. I just think the thing that they're good at is not great against what the other houses are doing in this set.
I just feel like Brobnar's not appealing. Like none of the effects in Brobnar look really fun or really cool or really strong. Like they're all okay. You can win decks with Brobnar in them. Brobnar isn't bad, but like would you rather play a 10 power troll that doesn't do anything, or would you rather play like the 2 power elusive daughter that gives you an extra draw? Like daughter just
Yeah.
inherently looks better every single time unless you're the kind of person that just likes big creatures and playing vanilla cards. Like and that's a very small selection of people, and Brobnar like focuses on those like play styles, which just isn't a very popular one in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean I really liked set 2 Brobnar. I thought that that was a lot of fun.
I'll agree that it was the best version of Brobnar, but I still wasn't a fan of it. Like it was still okay at best to me. But that's just because my play style is like big combo. I want to play 30 cards this turn and not care about the game anymore. Decks.
Yeah, you're a Logos Saurian type of guy.
Yeah. And discs conveniently enough. So when I said that on the car ride too, we were driving up and I was like, man, if I could have any houses, I just want disc logos in either one of the new houses, and I literally got that, which was really
Yeah,
cool.
I was pretty happy
Yeah.
about the tournament in general. It was a good time. I'm stoked that I came second.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
stoked that 5 of us top 8. I'm stoked that we got another prime in March.
One of our locals got ninth too. So like
Yeah,
there's like out of what 7 or 8 people that rode up there with us.
7 rode
Seven
up with
people,
us.
five in top eight. One was ninth. Like
Yeah,
that's that's pretty good.
it's not bad.
I feel like we're officially like imprinting ourselves as a threat to the Florida Keyforge community.
Yeah, like
Like I think we've made
people in
that dent.
Orlando know what Cape Coral is now, and
Yeah,
that's not something I'd ever think would happen.
right. I know. It's so cool. It's such a good feeling. Like that is definitely the highlight of the weekend is just knowing that like our local area is like getting recognition and like powerhousing the rest of the state. Not like Fulton, but like just being the threat that we are just feels so cool.
To me, it feels really vindicating that we're not just good in regards to each other.
Right.
Like
We don't just win at our locals because we know how each other plays and what each other's play styles are, any of that. Like we're
yeah,
genuinely just good at the game because we're playing against people we've never played before and still doing well.
yeah,
It's
it
great.
feels good to. I mean, I hope we're good at the game, but we're at least good enough to play at prime level.
Yeah, we can
uh,
at least top four or two are primes so far.
yeah,
Updates in March.
yeah. So we were supposed to have another prime tomorrow. We are recording this on Friday night,
Yeah.
but Serenity Games they canceled theirs,
Yeah, I believe so. We don't really know all
which
the details. I know last week we were at Critical Hit Games and we were like looking for the next event, and I know one of us mentioned that it wasn't there anymore on the website with all of the Prime Championships listed. And I don't think there was
and then
any actual
I believe
confirmation. Did we get
I believe
confirmation?
one of the locals had said that they ordered their kit, but they didn't pay for it because they didn't feel like they would get enough people for it,
Oh,
which is ridiculous because
there's
I
seven
mean
of us already
we're
going.
bringing 7 to 8 to every tournament, maybe more.
Yeah,
So if you at least have like
eight
8 people,
people, you're
I
gonna have
mean
enough to get the Amber
Orlando's
bonus.
bringing what? How many people come from the Orlando Central Florida area?
Like 5 or 6 at least.
Marcus and his two buddy, like 5 or 6,
Yeah, at
four
least.
4 to 6,
Hmm.
and then whatever locals you have, like we're hitting 20 at least.
Yeah, like our local store is getting like what 12 to 16 people every week now,
Yeah, it's awesome.
like
I'm really
on
stoked on that.
average. So like, watch out for our prime championship because it's gonna be like 30 something people.
I
If
don't
we
know. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but should we talk about that at all?
Oh, you can. I was making a joke and wasn't really like segueing, but if you want to bring that up, we can. Since we're on the
Um,
topic of Serenity Games canceling their prime championship and therefore preventing Florida participants from getting their third Prime Championship in a 3 month window. Uh, there could be
So
some
I
silver lining that Tyler's going to share with us.
Yeah, I when I heard that, so originally our locals was told, I think we mentioned this on the podcast. Our local
Probably.
tournament, Cool Comics and Games, he was told by one of his distributors or his representative that he would need a higher average for it to be worth it to buy the Prime kit. So he kind of got talked out of it.
Yeah, they
And then
basically
after we
told him
went,
he didn't qualify for it, basically.
that's how he made it seem. It could have been a miscommunication, but that
Right,
that was still early in the Keyforge career, and we were probably at that point still getting like 6 to 8 people
right. 10 on a good
like
week.
a week.
Hmm.
And so when after we got back from the Prodigy Gaming one, we're like, hey, like we told our owner, we're like, our locals is about as big as their Prime was. You should recontact your distributor. And he did, and the distributor's like, oh, you definitely could have gotten one. But now there's no more kits. They've all been distributed.
Right.
So he's like, oh, well, next season we'll get one. Like, he was kind of bummed out. We were kind of bummed out.
Yeah, I
But
mean, we
after
knew we were in the running for future seasons, but like missing this one was still kind of disappointing.
but once we found out that there was a kit in Florida that existed but wasn't paid for or claimed, I kind of emailed the organized play team and I was like, hey,
Tyler
here's the
sprinted into
information.
action, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I gave him the information to our locals, and I was like, he's really interested in hosting a prime this season, if the kit's available. And I don't want to jinx it, but he did tell me to forward, all of
Your
the organized play
communications.
information to our store owner,
Right.
and he did confirm that there is a kit available. So if you're in Florida, I mean, be on the lookout. The schedule might have a prime this season, an extra one popping up at Cool Comics and Games.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully there's enough like of a notice to get everybody available to show up. Like, I don't want them to be like, "All right, you're approved. It's gonna be this Saturday." Like, I don't expect that to happen, but
No, I
because
would
it's in the
imagine.
middle of the season, we're probably gonna only have a month or so of like warning time.
Yeah,
Um,
it can't be. I don't believe it could be in April, but it's not ridiculous to think maybe mid to late February or March. I don't know. We'll have to to be determined on that one,
yeah, and we will
and
update
hopefully.
everybody who listens to this as soon as we hear info, especially you Florida players who want to attend.
I wouldn't
Um,
say anything, but I do know that the Central Florida people listen to this at least sometimes, and I'd rather them be prepared to come
yeah, we
and
want
then
you guys to have the
disappointed that
information
it doesn't
down.
happen than I'd rather it like not happen, but people ready to come than people like last minute have to plan it and maybe plans fall through.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like if it doesn't happen, it's disappointing. We're just as, if not more disappointed than you are because it's only a 10-minute drive for us to go to this event. So like
Yeah.
it's super disappointing for us, but like any of you guys who are planning to go to Serenity Games and take part in that Prime Championship, it sucks for all of us. None of us get to go do that, but hopefully there's some silver lining and maybe our local store will get that Prime Championship for this season. I know during the Prime Championship last weekend, pretty much everybody at our local scene got added to a Keyforge group specifically for Central Florida, which is like a private Facebook group that you have to either request to join or get invited to from someone who was already in it. And I think all of us got in that group. So as soon as we know with 100% confirmation that there is going to be one at our local store, we're going to post in that group. We're going to post in our group. We'll update the podcast. We'll try to, we're going to spread that knowledge as fast and as far as possible because we want everybody to attend. And we know it's going to be
Yeah.
a shorter notice than these other primes that we've known about since October. But
But
bear with
also,
us.
speaking of Facebook groups, if you would like to, we our locals does host a Southwest Florida Keyforge group,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it kind of covers, I think, like Naples to,
Port Charlotte, roughly.
yeah, roughly in local scene.
Yeah.
So it's just SWFL Keyforge Archons. If
Yep.
you request to join, I think it's a public group, and I mean
Yeah.
we post all sorts of stuff in there as well.
Oh yeah, there's stuff going on in there pretty often, and like I said, it's like you said, it's Port Charlotte to Naples, probably inward almost to like probably Lehigh or maybe a little past Lehigh. It's pretty much like Lee County, Collier County.
Well, we had a
Um,
store in Naples, but they ended
but
up closing.
Yeah,
So I guess Lehigh's the furthest north it goes now, but it does go down to like the Estero area
right. Yeah, Dungeon
because
Games
we
and all
have we
that.
have we have three locals in this area that host regular Keyforge events, and they're
Weekly
all
tournaments. Yeah.
spread out about an hour distance altogether from each other.
Yeah, if you wanted to drive to all three in one trip, it would take you from the first one to the last, probably, yeah, probably about an hour, hour and 20 minutes, just because one's in Lehigh. But
Yeah,
overall,
but
it's pretty good. Hopefully you guys get the good news that we're hoping for as well. Um, Anything else about the Prime Championship that you wanted to talk about? I mean, we're at 35 minutes, so we're not as
I
far as
mean,
our normal episodes,
honestly,
but I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to bring up.
more so on the whole us trying to get a prime. It's less about like our locals getting a prime, and me. I just want more people from Florida to be at Worlds. Like,
Yeah, every opportunity for someone at, I mean, no offense to Orlando, Miami, no offense to other Floridians, but like obviously local people want their local players to get to these tournaments, so our
oh, I
local
don't.
group still needs one more invite so that the majority of us can go.
I
Um,
mean, even if not, I don't. As long as someone in Florida wins Worlds, I'm gonna be stoked and I'm gonna hype them up.
oh yeah, absolutely,
Like,
absolutely. Marcus, Cody, any of you guys make it in the world, you got our support. Cutthroat Research is rooting you guys on for sure.
and I mean, right now I have a soft spot because our buddy who won said that I would be his third if we didn't get another invite. But I know if me or you get an invite, then we kind of have one open spot.
Right.
And I mean, hey man, Marcus and Cody aren't bad players.
No,
We might
no,
have
they're
to hit
not.
one of them up.
Yeah, we'll have to see what's going on. Marcus,
Unless they get their own invite.
right.
Then a whole nother story.
Absolutely. Hey man, if maybe I'll get super lucky, and if we don't get the invite, and then our local player takes you as his third, maybe Marcus or Cody will want me on their team.
Yeah, that would be weird though, not being on the same team.
Yeah, that would be really weird, but hey man, as long as we both got to play. See you in the finals. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Oh, the
But
dream.
no, it's a lot of fun. It's a really good feeling just to see Florida's community kind of rally behind each other and create these friendly rivalries and
Yeah,
these.
I will say. Go ahead. You can finish too.
No, no, go ahead. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, like that statement just like made my eyes widen because I will say I played Yu-Gi-Oh competitively for 4 or 5 years, and I drove out of town, I drove out of state, I drove as far as Atlanta for tournaments. And I mean, you get to meet a lot of people, and like Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments are people. A YCS is thousands of people, a regional is hundreds of people. So even going up to a Keyforge tournament with 30 people, that's significant. But like I've never met someone in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that wasn't from my local scene, or someone that I met through somebody at my local scene that I like immediately bonded with and immediately felt like wow, I immediately have a new friend within 5 minutes of talking to them. Like there's people in Miami. I have friends down in Miami that I'm very good friends with, but like every single one of those Yu-Gi-Oh players I met through somebody who I already knew in Cape Coral. And they met them and then I met them through them. And like Keyforge, I met Marcus purely like through you, but not in the same way because like I talked to Marcus and we chatted a few times, and Cody the same thing. Like Cody came outside during the first prime and was like, "Hey, those podcasters are here." And you said the same thing happened to you, and I was just like, "Hey man, like, yeah, what's up? You want you want
Yeah,
you
that's
want a
us.
sticker?" Yeah, so like it was really cool, and it's such a great vibe. The Keyforge community has like the best vibe out of every card game I've ever played. At least when it comes to competitive players, like I've played Magic casually and EDH and stuff, and that's always a good time. But when I'm being competitive, nothing so far has beat like the support, the companionship of like Keyforge, at least in our area in Florida. It's
Yeah,
great.
it's been such a great ride so far, and I'm stoked to see. Excuse me. I'm stoked to see it grow, and hopefully, I mean, like, I want one of our locals to take the next couple primes, but if we do end up having a local one, it would only be right for someone else to top because we've been doing it quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I mean other people are gonna top, but man, someone local needs to take the LGS invite, dude. Especially with our quantity. Like if 5 people are top eighting the out of town events, then like the same five, if not more local people should be top eighting this event, and that just like seals the deal for a local player to win it.
our locals
Like
too. Like we
it
have
makes
some
it so
players.
rough.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but like we
No, you're
have
good.
some like players who are newer, who like a month ago didn't really know how to play.
Oh yeah.
Like they and now like they're top foring leaderboards. Like
Oh yeah. There's this one player who's an older gentleman. He's I think I'm pretty sure he has like kids and a family and this
he's a family man.
yeah, he is a fammy man, and
That
Saturday
doesn't make
is,
him older. Let's not be discriminatory.
well,
Like,
I know he's older than me because he has kids.
well,
But
I'm older than you,
yeah,
so
but like I don't know that you're older than, like I can think you're older than me, but if you told me you were like 26 or something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, but like there's no way he's gonna tell me he's 26 with a straight face. So, he's older than me. But this this guy, like the Keyforge is his first card game that he's actually like tried to get into long term and deep dive. Um, the card like this is like his first real experience at a competitive tournament, playing a game at a local scene. Like all of this is new to him, and he's been playing since the first prime, like maybe November, maybe a little earlier than November, but I don't think so. And like you said, he's already top four to leaderboard. I think he's already gotten first or second place at like one of our regular Archon tournaments.
oh yeah,
He's won a sealed event. Like he's doing phenomenal for being 2 or 3 months into his first competitive card game. It's astounding. Like straight up,
it's
like
awesome.
it's
It's
mind
great to
blowing, and I
see.
love it. And like he's a threat. Like every time I play against him, it feels just as scary as playing against you or playing against Danny and Floyd. Like he has that same level of, like, I don't want to call it fear because I'm not afraid of playing people, but like he sets that same tone where like I have to think. I know I have to take this game seriously. Um, and I want to feel like I have to take every game seriously because that makes you a better player. So I
Yeah, that's
want
how you
everybody to
grow.
be there. Yeah. Everybody loves their free wins, but you don't really gain anything from it other than that one win on that one day. Like you get in, you spend your 20 minutes and get out, and that 20 minutes is all you're going to get from that game if you just destroy your opponent. It's those close games, like my top four games, both of my top four prime games. Like those are the two games that are going to stick with me for a long time, and I'm going to think back to them and reference them while I'm playing other games, trying to make sure I don't make those same mistakes or
Yeah,
decisions rather, is what I'm going to call them. But yeah, those are the games that stick with you, and those are the games I like to play.
yeah. I
Did,
mean,
did your deck have a cool name?
my deck was named Edelin Abode Gem Cutter.
All right, my
So it was all right.
That's not bad. I love the name of my deck, and I just looked back at the tab again and realized I never announced the name of it. The name of the deck I played at Sealed is called Lord Ripcord Walsh, and that's just like, I don't
That's a
know.
good one.
That's one of the neatest names I've seen on a deck. Ripcord is quotationed, um, but yeah, Lord Ripcord Walsh, very very interesting name for a very cool deck. But you were saying something right before I started ranting.
I was.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, you started talking, and then I was like, "What was the name of your deck?" Um,
I know.
but
I think it's great that I I think it's great that our local scene has become better competitors and so quickly.
yes. And I
So
think I,
like,
th- I think the local players who don't attend the primes with us, you guys still deserve a shout out because like any of you, like I know Lyle, I know Rocco, there's a few people at our local scene that are decently skilled, and they don't get to go to those primes for whatever reason. They have family stuff going on, or they can't really go out of town. They're limited in that regard. But you guys help us do well at those other tournaments. So huge thanks to you guys who take the game seriously, try to improve yourselves, and therefore improve us by default. So thank all of you guys at our local store who are taking the game seriously and trying to improve at the rate you are. It's great. Absolutely.
yeah. And I mean, while I am sad that we're not going to a prime tomorrow, I am kind of happy that we get to have a local tournament, more than one, for the leaderboards this month.
2 o'clock sealed. Woo!
Yeah.
Do you know what you're playing
So
for Archon tomorrow?
I think so. I opened a deck, and we actually went to the other locals for their
Yes.
leaderboard tournament. It went pretty well.
How'd you do there?
It's such a I did came fourth.
Oh,
I don't know. I got paired up against Dave Roman, who was the winner of the last primes in the finals, and I lost him to him again, and I ended up getting bumped down a bit.
gotcha. Well,
But it was fun. I played it. I really liked the deck I played. It was a close game. I do have a deck. I don't remember the name, and I don't have it on me, but It has Book of IEQ and two Navigator Alley,
Ooh, very nice.
and it's very consistent in that regard to just be able to
Yeah.
pull off Book of IEQ every turn.
If you can set that up early enough in the game, you just get to double house the whole game long.
Yeah, it feels really great.
Yeah, I believe that. You're always drawing a full hand pretty much. That's awesome.
So I think I'm gonna play that tomorrow.
Very nice.
How about you? Do you know what you're playing for Archon?
Considering the fact that I only get to go to this one local store, I don't really go to Lehigh or the Estero location or anything. I don't have to worry about getting too many chains on my deck. Um, I'm at a loss, or I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wants to play the deck that I got from the Christmas box that you gave me. Tyler gave me a box for Christmas, and I pulled like a 76 Coda deck. Um, so in that regard, I really do want to play that deck, but I also kind of want to save it because it has no chains. I kind of want to save it for a month of prime or a month where there's no primes and there's no like days where we're closed or there's 4 full weeks of leaderboards. But if I don't play that, I don't know what I am gonna play. So I'm really at a crossroads of do I want to play this or do I want to play anything else? I'm
You
not
got to
really
pull a
deciding
great,
between two decks.
you got to pull a great sealed deck and play that
Oh
with
yeah,
both tournaments.
that would that's a lot.
But I'm excited. I had a good time at Primes. I love the Florida players. I can't wait to see them again. I can't wait to play Keyforge tomorrow. A big reason I went to the Lehigh tournament at Gulf Coast Gaming was just I just was itching to play. I wanted to
Right.
play again before Saturday.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Uh, I also would like to play. I work really early, and there's no way I'm gonna stay up that late. I'll fall asleep like during my last round if I try to stay up that late. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, that means no Keyforge for me during the weekdays. At least not in person or at a tournament. I'd have people over to hang out and play or something. But
yeah. Have you been playing on the Crucible online at all?
nope. I still have a grand total of 1 game played on that thing.
I've been trying to play more, but it's hard for me to find time, honestly.
It gives me the dueling network effect from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where like I understand the usefulness of it and I'm glad that people do use it, but like it's just not for me, man. Like I hate the typing to my opponent. I don't like I like the face-to-face gameplay, and that's why like I'd rather play Magic in person than play MTG Arena, and I'd rather like if Hearthstone had a sit at a table version, I probably wouldn't even play Hearthstone online. Hearthstone's just like my my outlet for when I can't play a card game in person.
The one time I did play Hearthstone pretty regularly, it was only at fireside gatherings,
Yep,
which is the like local events where you bring your computer or tablet and you
to an
do get to
event.
sit across from your opponent.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I feel like there's a different layer of the game when
Oh
you're in
yeah.
front of the person and you
Th-
could kind of use body language to bluff or
mhm.
get make reads off their body language.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like I really like that. I really value that. And I also feel like I'm kind of cursed by the fact that I I probably what's the way to word it? Like people can probably read my body language a lot easier than I can read theirs, but I still prefer playing in that environment because of the little bit of benefit I might get from their body language.
Yeah,
I feel like I can be an emotional player. If I let things get to me, I'll start shifting in my chair or, sit on my foot. Like, I don't know what my mannerisms are, but I know I have them. But I know other people have them too. So I'd rather value the fact that I can abuse their mannerisms than worry about them taking advantage of mine.
not not
That's
to
just
give
me.
away not to give away too many of my little secrets, but I do tend to bluff with my body language and mannerisms because like I will like overreact to certain things a few times like towards the beginning of the game so that I can use that later in game to bluff. And I mean, some people might think that that's kind of I find that people think those kind of like mind games are almost like underhanded to a certain extent, but I just feel like it's like a poker strategy, man. It's part of the game.
Right, and like playing online poker versus like at a casino poker, you play those in two completely different ways. Like really, like the game is still the game, but like watching people play online poker on like Twitch streams and stuff, and then watching an actual poker tournament on Twitch stream is two completely different spectrums of like personality and like risk, and like it genuinely feels like a different game altogether. And like you were saying, I need that face to face.
Well, yeah, I mean, to use the example, hopefully he doesn't mind, but like when I was saying with when I played Cody and he snagged me, if we were playing on the Crucible and he used snag and I passed, in his head he'd be like, "Oh, he got locked out." But like we were sitting from each other and he asked me if I got locked out, and I mean, I'm not going to tell him and he'll never know. But there was a moment where he wasn't sure if I got locked out or if I was just purposefully not playing cards.
Right, and then he had to
And
like maybe.
that's a layer that got added because we were in person.
Right, absolutely. If you did that on the Crucible, you just assume that you locked your opponent because there's nothing that can signify that. And I mean, on the Crucible, that might cause, I mean, it definitely will make your opponent play differently, but is that different play style going to be more beneficial or less to them? You don't really know because you can't compare it to playing them in person. Like you'll never know how this game would have been different if you played them face to face, if you're online or vice versa.
Yeah, but the Crucible is a great tool
I
for
agree.
getting into good habits.
Yes,
Like,
sequencing the right way, playing cards in the right order, making sure you're doing the right thing from your perspective.
yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely. Well,
But I think
we've
that'll
been
be it for
rambling.
today.
Yeah, we're at 52 minutes and it's a little
Oh,
longer than we
already?
planned again. Yeah, it's pretty long, but we're all good. Hopefully you guys like our voices and continue to like our voices for future episodes that have our voices in them. Shameless
Yeah,
plug,
sorry,
follow us
I'm a
on
little sick.
YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. I think we have a Facebook. No, we definitely have a Facebook page. Check out our Southwest Florida Keyforge Archons Facebook group. Find us on Spotify. I promise you guys by the end of January we will be on iTunes, or I will at least have a solid update as to why we're not on iTunes. Um, Full disclosure again, let's see. Episodes are going to be bi weekly unless otherwise specified, or unless you guys get lucky and get an episode. I did return to school to do some college courses. I'm trying to do all the housekeeping stuff and can't think of anything else. Tyler, what do you got for us?
Um, play some Keyforge.
Yeah, play a lot of Keyforge. Do we
But
have any
yeah,
like
I
do we have
mean,
any like random comment in the YouTube with the answer to this question? What's your favorite Keyforge card? Did we already ask people that?
we've probably done that a lot of times. What's your favorite discard?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Is in
good.
the spirit of this episode.
What's your
What
what's
is it?
what's your favorite discard in Worlds Collide, and then what's your favorite discard in any set? Give us both
If
in the YouTube
if you
comments.
were if you were to discard a discard to your discard pile,
What
which
discard would you
discard
discard?
would you discard?
Yep. And again, we're at 87-ish subscribers, give or take one or two. Um, we are 12, guys. We are literally, if you guys go make new YouTube channels or new YouTube accounts and just subscribe to us and get us to 100, we're gonna give away a deck. And I won't,
Oh,
I
this
won't, I
actually
won't tell anyone if you do that.
this was something I did want to say. If any of our viewers have Maverick Cutthroat researches, just terrible decks with those,
Yeah,
let us know
yeah. I
because
don't. It,
I
it
kind
doesn't
of want to
matter if it's
make.
a 50 or what.
I just kind of want to make like a cool poster with like every Cutthroat research,
Yeah, all the different
or
houses or
like
whatever.
if we get a couple sets, we can use them as like tokens for when we like control the weak people. We could hand them a Cutthroat research of the house that they're locked into.
Oh my God, that's so good.
That'd be a cool thing.
That's so good. Yes, give us your Maverick or trade us your Maverick Cutthroat research decks for sure. Tyler had a great idea.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be
Also,
neat.
I'm gonna end the episode in like 30 seconds, but I got a 3D printer, so we might have Patreon stuff coming soon. Probably not soon, but like in the next couple months. So you should give us
We're
ideas
gonna
for
make
that
some
too.
stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna print things and bring it to events. So if you're in Florida and you see us, just be like, hey, what are you printing? I want one, and then I'll write your name down and send you one when I actually print them or something.
We'll do something.
Yeah,
We
it'll
got
be cool.
stickers still.
Yeah, we still have stickers too. We didn't give any stickers to Critical Hit Games. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice, you did it. I forgot
Yeah,
completely. I got
I
home and
did
was
it.
like, no. All right, guys, we'll see
I'm on
you
it.
hopefully in like 2 weeks, maybe a little less than that. Keep playing Keyforge, keep winning games, and thank you.
Have a good one.